Buddhist, you don't be a caveman, but take your position and wear it with grace and love. And she will respect you for it. Wear the responsibility with grace and gentleness and love. Be insistent that you are the leader. Sometimes we hand our wife so much responsibility and so much authority in the home that we've given away the lead. It is not yours to delegate. Leadership cannot be delegated away. You must be the leader. We saw that that Christ gave himself for the church, and so we must give ourselves for the wife. Risk yourself for your wife. To lift her up. Learn to sacrifice, husbands, for her wants. Sacrifice your wants for her betterment. Remember, so that glorious church that Christ is building, he sacrificed himself so he could present himself beautiful. So husbands, sacrifice for your wife in very legitimate and realistic things. You know, you don't have to wait until her birthday to buy her flowers. You don't have to wait till Christmas to get her a necklace. You don't have to wait until Mother's Day to get her an iron. I just threw that one in there for humor. See her needs. See what she needs. What are her goals? If I were to ask you men tonight, husbands, do you know the dreams of your wife? Do you know what they want above all? Maybe your wife wants to be an astronaut. You ought to be getting on the phone and calling NASA. That was the picture we saw in Ephesians 5. I'm not making this up. I mean, Christ intentionally sacrificed himself to make his wife glorious. And so must we. As a daddy, you must take the lead role in rearing your children. You are the disciplinarian, and you're the one who with words is given the responsibility, the duty of bending the character of your children. I hope from those messages there's some daddies that have opened up their mouths in the home and communicated verbally in ways other than yelling to your children, that you have tried to speak to the heart of your children and with your children from these messages. It is you, not mom, that is the disciplinarian and the word admonitioner, if that's a word. Not your youth pastor, not your pastor, not your Christian school. It is you, daddies, that bend the heart of your children with words and with a rod. Children, grab hold of your role to obey and honor your parents. Live it and love it. Trust them. Just say to okay, listen, you want to be a wise, not a smart aleck kid, but a smart young person. You want to be wise above your peers. Realize that you don't know as much as your parents do. Did it ever occur to you the simple, great thing that they've already been where you are before? They've been there, done that. You know, when I try to do something at my house, I call a guy in the church that has done it before. If I got a problem with my fireplace, if I got a problem with my window, some guy who knows a lot about mechanical things or about fireplace, I call him and I pick his brain about how to do it. Your parents have been in your place before. Different generation, definitely different clothing styles, different haircuts, things like that. All right? Same situations. Exactly same situations. Trust them. Obey them. Honor them. Realize they do know something. Realize they know a lot. Realize God has given them the abilities to be able to rear you. Live under that umbrella of protection that God gave you. Don't try to bust out of it or question it or think that you know best. God always says that obeying them is right. Obeying them is the right thing concerning sibling relationships in the home. Tonight I want to make a major change in the universe. I would like to announce something that will change things forever and ever and ever. It is a universal policy that must change for the first time ever. I want to give every child and teenager in this room the opportunity to love and be great friends with their brothers and sisters. Guess what? You're allowed to love them. And you're allowed to tell them you love them. Some of them are looking at me like, that is not a possibility. You may laugh at this because it is almost a given in our homes that it is a natural thing, and a natural home is one with sibling rivalry and constant contention. That should never be expected or encouraged in the Christian home. And it shouldn't just say, you should never just say, okay, that's how it is. Children, your responsibilities to each other are the responsibilities that you have to any other person to love one another. To love one another and to treat each other with respect. Your brothers and sisters can be your best friends if you determine them to be. And I want to tell you, it's okay for them to be. My brother was 6 years older than me. He set me on fire. He took me on the top of a bridge to jump off of a bridge in West Virginia, a steel-framed bridge. He threw a metal Band-Aid can full of heavy things at my head and smacked me in the head. He had a Ford belt buckle, one of those big brass ones, you know what I'm talking about? You remember those in the 70s, the big brass ones with big leather belts? And he was swinging it around like only a boy named David, whacked me upside the head and printed Ford backwards on my... I'm telling you, my brother he had a death wish against me. And now we are the best of friends. And we call each other constantly. I wish that could have been a little sweeter in the home when I was there. When we were in the home. Do you know that you are allowed, I give you permission right now, the universal law has changed. Deacons note it, ushers take care of it. You can love your siblings. And you can treat them with respect, and they can be your very best friends right now. They really, 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 really can. Parents, never allow mean-spiritedness in siblings to be the norm in your house, or allowed. If your children will not treat each other with respect and kindness after you admonish them with words, then admonish them with the rod. But whatever you do, don't allow it to continue. You are teaching them something when you allow it. When you act like it's natural, you're teaching them that it's okay to treat people with disrespect. That's what you're teaching them. If they are allowed to get by with treating their brothers or sisters with disrespect, you're saying to any person outside of the home, it's okay under certain circumstances to treat them with disrespect when they get on your nerves. Of course, that's not right. God says, be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. These are the roles that God requires in His Word that are directly connected to Psalm 127, verse number 1, except the Lord build the house. This is how He builds a house. He tells you the roles. He tells you what you're supposed to do, each person is supposed to do in the home. You're laboring in vain if you're trying to have a godly home without the roles. If you're trying to improve on the roles, or change the roles, or not follow the roles. You're laboring in vain if you're trying to get a good home with woman's lib, or henpecked husbands, or motherly discipline, or feminine spiritual leadership, or unrestrained children. You're just laboring in vain. You're a guy digging a hole and putting the dirt here, filling the hole and digging the same hole again. You're laboring in vain. God's roles. There's a third way to allow God to build your home, and that is allowing God to build your house means obeying Him in the house. Obeying Him in the house. How can God build the house if you're not living His Word, parents? If your family is not living obediently. It's not enough to go to a church that preaches right and wrong. It's not enough to tell your children right and wrong. Their greatest teacher is how you live at home and how you allow your family to live at home and on vacation. That is the teacher. That is allowing God to build your home. When you live obedient to His Word, not Sunday and Wednesday night, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 1 John 2 talks about not loving this world and then defines what that is. Obeying God in your home is not living the world. I could go to a lot of verses about things that talk about obeying God, but I think one of the greatest ones is that passage in 1 John chapter 2, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life are not of the Father, but are of this world. Now let's take those three things. Let's just look at them tonight. We don't have tons of time. Let's just look at those things. Let's obey God and let Him build our home by eliminating these three things. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. God says they're of this world, and if you love them, you don't love the Father, you're not loving the Father. So let's talk a little bit about eliminating just those three things. The lust of the flesh, number one. Eliminate in your home all impurity. All lustful pictures and TV and movies and magazines and posters and novels and immodest clothing. Obey God's Word and get rid of all those things that are lust of the flesh from the home. You say, Pastor, do you know how hard that is? We're living in Sodom and Gomorrah. You're right, you're living in Sodom, but you don't need to bring Sodom inside your house. You really, really, really don't. You may think it's the silliest thing in the world to get your Good Housekeeping magazine and to rip off the back cover of the girl that is using Dove soap that doesn't have any clothes on. But you're going to save